talk about microwave ovens. If you did not realize you were at the microwave oven talks, you probably want to leave right now. This is a history, and the history starts with this relatively modern one. I got very into microwaves because I purchased a house with this particular microwave oven, and I was enamored with the fact that it could bake things. You could put like a cake in there, it could bake it. But over time, I grew to loathe this microwave. First off, if you press the buttons, nothing happens. You have to go 2 submenus deep in order to put the time in. If you open it, the bell rings. If you don't click off, it will beep 60 seconds later forever throughout the night if you forget to hit that off button. My wife, in the middle of the night, we had a newborn, she pulled this handle a little bit laterally in the middle of the night when she was making a milk bottle, and the door safety glass exploded all over the kitchen, and it cost $800 to replace just the door. So I hate this microwave. And this drove me into a frenzy, and luckily people online, I felt connected to people. Apparently I'm not the only person that is very confused by microwaves. So, to take a detour, I was previously, in a previous life, a software developer, and this kind of reminded me of ASCII. I look at ASCII, which is the text encoding that kind of runs everything, and I'm like, nobody would design it this way. Why is it like this? But it's like not hard to imagine why it's like this because it was made for this, right? There's a physical paper there. And when you kind of look at all the codes, it's like, okay, it's not just a text encoding. It is also a way of communicating to like a printer or teletype thing. The problem is that like we're stuck with this thing. And so one of the most used protocols of all time, ASCII, 25% of it is just not used. That's so inefficient. Nobody would design it like this if they started today. I like to call this practice of like going back in time and trying to like exercise some engineering empathy. I like to call it architecture archaeology. Like going back in time and trying to be like, was this bad design at the time? Like I know it's bad design now, but like, can I forgive this? Like, was it okay at the time? A lot of people will call this the Chesterton's fence. If you see a fence, you buy a house and there's a fence on the property, don't remove it unless you know why it's there. And so you maybe see these carriage return things and you go back in time and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But other things you kind of go and you're like, oh boy, I think that was a bad decision even for the time. This code was used to kind of just keep alive, so the keyboard would send to the screen, just be like, hey, stay awake a little bit longer. And then C used this as the null terminator string, and it made the problem way worse. It's just a whole thing. This is what I call a Chesterton's dump. It was, if you go back in time, it was just a bad idea at the time. So, I like thinking about whether or not things are Chesterton's fences or Chesterton's dumps, and I think this is like a really important exercise. I promise I'm getting into microwaves. So just let me preach for a second. I'm here with the rationalists today, and this is not like an aesthetic thing I'm talking about. Like the role of design is like you can poll people and get like an exact statistical number. Like people will probably agree that this is not as good of design, right? Like there's a difference here, and it's like if you look at the mathematics of optimization, there's way more ways to make something bad than there is to make something good. That's just like a property of math. If you're interested in this thing, Christopher Alexander's book, Notes on the Synthesis of Form, beautiful. Anyway, so how do these make you feel? How do these make you feel? Is this good? Can I forgive this microwave oven? Let's find out. My name's Taylor. I write at Taylor.town, and this is the history of knobs on microwaves. Starts out in 1940 when we started playing around with atomic nuclei. We were trying to make some very dangerous things, and we were studying waves and all that nonsense. And somebody realized that water molecules are kind of like, if you squint a little bit, they're kind of like really tiny magnets. And waves kind of can make them spin, And spin is angular momentum, and that's also kinetic energy, which is heat. So maybe the right wave will make it heat, and now we call that dielectric heating. It's actually a thing. And once we had all of these like spare World War II radar parts, somebody's like, hey, this thing, the cavity magnetron, maybe we can blast it at food. And indeed, the first microwave from Raytheon, 1947. So the basic idea, 2.4 gigahertz cavity magnetron into a Faraday cage box to heat food, to spin the water molecules in the food. Note that some of you may have heard, oh, 2.4, I recognize that frequency. Just wait. All right. At the time, it was not clear whether or not this dielectric heating thing would work. Part of the problem is it's very unintuitive for cooking. The wetter a food is, the more it cooks. Like that's just it. And like foods are not homogeneously wet. They get hot at different rates. And so so they had to do a lot of strange things and experiments. GE was also experimenting at this time, and they were not using 2.4 gigahertz. They were using 915 megahertz, which is a lower amplitude. And the reason they were doing that is because you can cook foods more slowly, but you can actually penetrate deeper. The difference is 1.5 centimeters versus 4 centimeters. By the way, that's actually, a lot of that's just not true because Raytheon actually had 2.6 in the beginning, and then like GE was like, oh, we're gonna use 1. There's a whole thing. The point is, the FCC really, really wants you to use the same photons so that it doesn't pollute the photon space. That's kind of the gist. Let's see. 2.4 is what people use today. Some applications still use 915, so it is still a thing. All right, here we go. Oh man, it's all cropped. It's all right. There's one knob on this guy. This is 1954. This is another 1600 watt microwave, but this one is air cooled. And I found this quote from Popular Mechanics Review from 1955. And in it, it said, "The air in commercial kitchens is usually hot, grease-laden, and frequently full of lint." And that's just gross. They were talking about like, air cooling, and I was like, yeah, that's gross. Anyway, microwaves are known to cook meat. Unfortunately, friends, most people I can see here are made of meat. And so it is very important to make the door, so that you can get the food out so it can cook, but doesn't cook you. And so the concept is kind of like it's called a Faraday cage. And the cool thing is you have a metal connection around the thing, and it prevents our photons from leaking out in certain ways. Another cool thing about microwaves is that they route the electricity for that cavity magnetron through those hinges. So if you open it, there's like you're like ripping out the ability for that magnetron to function. Very important for safety. That is a cool cool thing. Remember I said about meat? Well, hamsters are also made of meat, and microwaves can penetrate deep enough to defrost a cryogenically freezed hamster, and they did that in 1954. There's a very good video online, an interview with between Tom Scott and James Lovelock, the person who did this, and highly recommend it. One more thing on the door is that the little window in there, you may have noticed that there's a little mesh. It's like a little mesh. The reason that is there is that you can see, because visible light can get through, but if you have it 12.2 centimeters, then that's too small for 2.4 gigahertz waves to escape. So you are protected by that little mesh. And by the 1950s, kind of this whole design was already set in place. They knew how to make the mesh. Everything was established. You have a magnetron, you have a little spinner to deflect the waves, otherwise you'll get like weird inconsistencies in how the waves are bouncing around the box. And kind of had it figured out. 1955, we started producing these things. This is Raytheon licensed this to a Japanese company to build. This is the Topon RL1. it was worth $15,000 their time. And I want to note a few things. Number one, isn't that the cutest little recipe drawer you've ever seen? Those are recipes, it's so cute. Second thing, you're probably wondering, where the hell did those extra knobs come from? Well, it is time to talk about broiling. So, unfortunately, if you've ever cooked anything in a microwave, you'll notice that it kind of just comes out floppy and flavorless. This is because dielectric heating does not make water molecules fast enough to produce Maillard reactions, which are like in everyday experience, like the browning. That's like the browning action that happens. So microwaves just don't generally do that for foods, which is kind of it's 1955 and you don't have microwavable ready foods, it's just gonna look like rubber. And so they had to include a broiling element, which is essentially just, if you've never looked in an oven, it's just the upside down grill thing on the top that gets really hot and takes you to Browntown. Yeah, if it's not browning, it is mere reheating. Okay, check this one out. These microwaves were huge. You could fit the baby in there. But you should not, even if it begs. 1962, microwaves are getting cheaper. This one has one cooking and one browning knob. 1963, this is a commercial one. The door slides down for commercial restaurants because space is limited. Look at this beauty from 1965. What a beauty. This is a Finnish manufacturer. Another, this one's same year from Japan. 1966. This is the first microwave oven with a spinning plate inside. And you're like, oh yeah, spinning plates. Let's deal with that. And the thing is, I don't know if they're actually like legit, because you don't need them. You can do things inside to move the waves around. So it kind of depends on the microwave. You can test this at home by getting thermal paper, making it slightly damp, and putting it in the microwave. And you can see the patterns in your microwave oven where there's hot spots and not hot spots. So this is something you can try at home. All right, 1967. This one has two knobs. One of them is an on-off knob. I hate this. Also, 1967, this is one of the first models that has a bell to let you know when it's done. I don't know how they didn't figure that one out. All right, 1967, this is the big one. This is the one that really captured the hearts of Americans. It was $4.5 thousand in adjusted money for them at the time. And this was cheap enough to kind of hit the mainstream. The question is, what are the two knobs? This thing does not have a broiler. It is two time knobs. The first one goes up to 25 minutes, and the other one is a fine dial up to 5 minutes. And then you have a start button. I hate this. 1968, Russians come onto the scene. This is digital, baby. They've got buttons. Look at this space-ass looking thing. It goes like that. Dude, I love this thing. I would love to have one. All right, 1974. We finally get auto defrost. Defrosting. The burning question on everyone's mind. What the hell is defrost? Well, the problem, remember I said the waves spin the water molecules? Well, that's not always true. When they are crystals, it doesn't work. It doesn't work on ice. Yeah. So what you have to do is the waves have to go find deep in there or around the sides some little spinny water molecules that are loose, and it takes a lot longer. And so what you want to do is just spread out those waves. But remember, I talked about the FCC earlier. They don't want you using any other waves besides the photons unless you were assigned to those. And so what you have to do with your magnetron, you have to just pretty much flip it on and off every few seconds, because magnetrons just can't flip off that fast. So they use a relay. And so What defrosting is literally just turns off your microwave like every few seconds and then turns it back on. So there you go. That's what happens. More on a lot of that later. All right. Okay, 1975. First one with a digital keypad. Okay. Now, I didn't want to make this about differences in gender roles, but I asked my grandma about the history here because she's experienced it, and I was like, Grandma, why would somebody use this? Like, why would you care? And she's like, oh, it's for cleaning. It's so much easier to clean. Have you ever tried cleaning a knob? I was like, holy crap, dude, I was such a bachelor, dude. She's like, no. Yeah, and then I look at my microwave at home, and it's just like filthy, dude. 1977, we started getting accessorize that microwave. This is a bowl with tin oxide, so you can get to Browntown without having a broiling element. This thing just gets hot enough, and you can kind of use this as like a skillet in your microwave.
Tin oxide will also heat up when you microwave.
Apparently, that was the recommended use. This one also came with a cooking book that recommended a recipe for popcorn meatloaf. I love that. All right. This is to me, this is where it starts getting real good. You have one dial for time, one dial for power. That is a pretty nice design right there. Like, you have frozen, you can do a lot with just those two knobs. 1978, Amana ships temperature probes with their model. You can put it in the meat and kind of, get the inner temperature that you want, and it will just go to that temperature. Very clever for 1978. They also, that year, patented the thing that does it without the probe, which is just sensor reheating. I'm going to skip how that works because you guys look like you're about to fall asleep. 1981, this one's convection. You can blow hot air to cook things. So this one has both, microwave and blowing hot air. And a spinning plate. 1981, I really like this design. I hate that door release though. I hate when they put buttons right here because it's confusing. You're like, where's the handle? And you're like, oh, it's. This is the first one with weight-based auto cook. It doesn't actually weigh it, as you know in many microwaves. It just makes you punch in like, oh, I have a fish and it's like 400 grams, and then it like uses that to defrost. I hate that. And also, look how big that microwave is. Microwaves were huge. So this brings me to 1984, what I think is the most important year for microwaves. Imagine Christmas morning, or before Christmas. Your family takes you out for a gentle movie you've been wanting to see. A Christmas family-friendly comedy with your family. And then this happens. Gremlins 1, a film about the horrors and fears of xenophobia and technology, blasts onto the scene as a PG movie. And it horrified families so much they had to create the PG-13 rating. Cannot recommend this film enough. It's so good. It was both. Yes, though. That was the other one. Gremlins 1. Okay, no more Gremlins. 1986, we see in the wild knobs and buttons. Things are happening. The market is choosing. We also have this in 1987. Look at that beauty. All right. Popcorn mode comes in 1988. This, I believe, was a humidity-based design. And also in the late 1980s, we start getting more foods that vary in like material properties and packaging. And people would put styrofoam in there, and they're like, why did it disappear? And people, microwaves are now everywhere, and people have to navigate like, how do I, work with cold things? And you're like, oh shit, I forgot I can't put metal in the microwave. Kind of a problem. I think the best example of putting metal in the microwave comes from 1990, a film called Gremlins 2, where the gremlins get revenge on the microwave by filling it with metal and having it explode. The film is both a critique of the first film, Gremlins 1, and a very, very good critique on capitalism. 1991, we got popcorn button, we got pizza button, we got baked potato button. 1997, this is the microwave many of you have probably seen already. Look how adorable this is. This is a precious microwave that must be protected. 1999, infrared. They're using light, infrared light, to cook things. And I would like to read you a review of this microwave from the Journal of Food Engineering. In this study, the effects of different baking methods, microwave, IR, and IR microwave combination were compared. Microwave baked cakes had some quality defects, such as lack of color, high weight loss, very firm texture, and low volume. It is not advisable to bake cakes by using only IR, since the product has a very thick crust and baking time is not less than IR microwave combination baking. 2001, Sabbath mode. I did so much research on this. And there's a really long history of like rabbis talking about like microwaves and stuff, and it's its own little rabbit hole. 2003, chaos defrost. That's a real thing. Remember I was talking about the magnetron? Well, if you do it tick tock, it might not work as well as kind of just doing it randomly. I was not able to find any information on whether this is better or not, so take that with a grain of salt. Drawer microwaves came out in 2006. These are good if you don't have space up here or on your counter. I hate these things. My grandparents have it. These are the worst. Do not buy one of these. 2006, very, very good year for microwaves. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, baby. 2009, the inverter. Oh, this is the moment we've been waiting for. Remember I said about that magnetron that flips on and off every few seconds? Inverter gets rid of that problem. It does that like, it goes really fast like this, which is much better for defrosting, but thoroughly trounces Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Remember I said earlier that it all operates on 2.4 gigahertz. Well, this is 2009. Wi-Fi was already blessed at 2.4 gigahertz, like 20 years before this. And yeah, they actually compete on the same exact spectrum. And there's not very good ways to change this. This is just a misfortunate accident of the FCC. Anyway, anything else here? Oh, 2014, auditory popcorn mode was patented. Normally it's humidity based, but they use sound, the power of sound, to listen to pops. 2015, look at this beautiful red baby. Oh my goodness. And, yeah, okay, but look how pretty it is. Okay, and there's a button that says a little bit more, I think. Oh yeah, a bit more. That's so cute. I do have more to say about this microwave in a little bit though. Mark Rober did this, it was cool. 2015, concept microwaves ovens started coming out because RF solid state design got really good. And you could do a lot of weird things. Like this. This is an abomination. They actually made this. Heinz made a USB powered microwave oven for little Keurig bean packets. Kind of cyberpunk, to be honest. 2017, Panasonic tried to bring back the browning elements. I don't think it worked. 2017, this is a big year. Look at that fish. That's not by accident. This is such a fancy microwave that can cook half a salmon. It has a whole bunch of sensors inside that control the frequency or it just has very, very fine control over the waves, so it can cook half a salmon like that. The technology was originally developed, in case you forgot you were meat, to reheat human organs for transplant. 2018, Alexa, baby. And if you have no friends like me, you could always just talk to your microwave. 2020, look at that beauty. Yes, that's a good one. All right, 2020, another big year for microwaves. The story broke that the company Midea pretty much makes all of the all the microwaves are just made by the same manufacturer in China. The thing is, this was not an investigative piece. Everybody knew this since the 1990s. There was no new news there. Like 1990s, they were already producing 10% of all microwaves. So this was kind of a, I think it hit the public consciousness like a little bit late, but yeah, they all come from the same factory. 2023, this is a Japanese one though. Battery powered, 500 watts. You can take this to your construction site. How rad is that? 2024, GE, one of the OGs in microwaves. Well, I mean, they announced this in 2020. I still don't think it's actually come out. But no knobs, no buttons. It's an Android tablet. Yee. So, back to the original question. Why do people hate microwaves? Note that, for the most part, I've actually only shown you the good ones. I would like to show you some of the bad ones, or questionable ones. In case you needed to take voice notes on your microwave. This one has international foods in case you want to cook Oriental or Spanish food. The three genders. Oh, you have to read the instruction manual. Another hieroglyph gem. This was actually Genius Prestige Plus. This was an inverter microwave, I believe. No units. You're beyond units. Okay, this one made me so angry. It's just a small thing, but it pissed me off. All right. I kind of like the aesthetics of that one. Not gonna lie. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, this one. All the buttons and stuff are behind the door. I kind of was like, oh, this is a good idea, and then I thought about it for like 2 seconds, like this is a bad idea. All right, touchscreen, baby. Oh yeah, forget the numbers. You just get ones and tens. You can't see the bottom, but you get a memo button. That's pretty interesting. So this one made me think. I think this is one that the aliens would understand. It's kind of a trend. This one actually has an explanation. These are like what you'll find in like commercial or like office kitchens, and it's because you can just preset them. If you're like cooking 1,000, Egg McMuffins, you could just hit one. That's the reason it's like that. So that one actually does have an explanation. And the final. Restoring microwaves to their natural habitat. Okay, so I'm back here again. Why do people hate microwave ovens? Some of you over this talk have probably had some strong opinions about which ones were justified bad design, which ones were like forgivable, or which ones were unforgivable. But again, these were only the designs you saw today, the ones that both survived and were photographed. There's so many designs when you're trying to think like and get in the head of like a design space. And the really only way I've been able to figure out how to do it is to like synthesize it myself and like try to build and simulate as much of the process as myself as possible. And Normally, what you learn from that is that it's really hard. Even if it looks easy, it's super hard, and you're just gonna fail, and you're gonna be like, oh, now I get it. So, my little design process I like to do is I decompress when I'm doing design consulting or whatever. I'm being a little fancy. I decompress and I recompress. The decompress process is pretty much just Marie Kondo all the way. You take out everything, you strew it about, and you keep only what sparks joy. So in UI design, you can make an elevator like this, or you can make it like this. When you are decompressing, I recommend just putting out all the buttons so you don't have a menu depth. A menu depth is like, oh, hey, you can kind of do anything here, and this really constrains what you're able to do, and you never have to do a sequence of buttons. This principle kind of works all over, so this is not just about UI. This is a principle you can use otherwhere. When I did this for microwaves, I took every single feature that you've seen today in the microwave. This does all of them. We've got Wi-Fi, we've got scan barcode from the Alexa thing, we've got everything. This is my attempt at putting all the knobs out on the table. The recompress. These are the steps that I follow. Just boring design stuff. I gave this talk in 2024 to a design crowd, so I've not changed the slides. So I will modify them slightly for this rationalist crowd here. Signifiers. Notice that signifiers, and people talk about signifiers, they're different than affordances. Signifier is like what the thing is showing that you can do, but the affordance is what the system actually affords. So a handle may signify that you can open it, but it may not actually afford that action. Those are two separate things. On the topic of affordances, I have a beautiful quote from a Redditor called Shaladay that wrote a review of the Breville, that red Breville microwave earlier that you saw. Beautiful note. I also love the Breville UI. Unfortunately, my mother, who is blind, has a hard time with it. I gave her my Breville with her when her old microwave broke. The knobs on the Breville don't give any feedback about their value as it changes. They also rotate infinitely, making it hard to guess from context clues. The UI is just not accessible. On a regular microwave, she can either feel the buttons or someone can put an adhesive landmark on the number 5 and the start button, and she could figure out the rest. And as each button is pressed, the microwave will beep, confirming that value has actually changed. The best UI will be accessible and embody universal design, making the experience better for everyone. I think Breville is on the right track, but they should keep working on it. So, yeah. Domain and range, math concepts. I'm not going to go into those. I'm getting tired. Mental model. Actually, we'll talk about this one. When you are designing any system, whether it be software, it is like one of the things that people do is they will try to make an interface that doesn't actually communicate the internal state of the system. I think this is generally a bad idea. I think sometimes it can be good if it really does simplify, but a lot of times you are kind of communicating a lie that can kind of mislead people. So for instance, in your car, you have a knob for heat and cool. And a lot of times, like when you're really cold, you'll just jack up the heat all the way because you're like, oh, I want to get hot faster. It actually won't make the car hot faster because there's only one temperature that does, kind of like the magnetron, it just shuts on and off. So it won't actually make the car hotter faster. It just it'll do it. But like, it's not really communicating that whole system to you. I'm not sure if there's a better way to do it. This is one of those things that you think about when you're interacting with humans. And for manufacturing, oh man, people forget that they're designing for actual physical systems sometimes, or even virtual systems. And they make things that are slow, buggy, bloated, and that's not okay. That's you gotta do. When I gave this talk, the morning of, I went to go take a shower. This is the shower that I saw. I think it's a pretty shower, but also they had to print out a little note for how to use the shower. That to me is like a sign of failure, right? Like and you can study it through this framework and be like, oh well, there's no signifiers, but then sometimes you can kind of like intuit based on the thing. I have a lot of opinions about this. Anyway, back to decompressing and recompressing. I've decompressed. What would my ideal microwave look like that is able to capture all of this? Okay, my ideal microwave is probably literally just one knob. I don't tend to use a lot of the other features. I eat like macaroni, and that's it. So if I were to take all of these features though and try to put it into a microwave, it might look something like this. Broil, microwave, bake, each of their own knobs. You have a kind of an egg timer style. 1 revolution is 1 hour. You can have an auto button, and it kind of does the sensor reheating. If you wanted to kind of automate something, you can hold the auto button and turn these. And then a volume. If you click it all the way, it goes into like a voice mode. This is like, might not be the best, but I kind of like it. Also make it magnetic, so that if you want to add screens or a QR code for instructions or stuff, modular. So one thing I will say is that these principles are like super duper important. Tesla cars have notoriously bad UI because it miscommunicates how much control you actually should be having over the car. Other manufacturers have done this problem by like not actually driving. I mean, even if they can, steer, they require you to do a tiny bit of input so that you don't lose your attention. There's like some communication that's happening, and so just a little wiggle on the actual knob makes a huge difference. Anyway, so this is how I would put knobs on microwaves. It might be bad design, but at least it's bad design for well thought of reasons. Through architecture archaeology and through feeble attempts to tame misfit, we can find engineering empathy. Thank you.